I've been covering this Godfrey and Kabir Baja Miller show for a while now on their 154 Africa show. And, everybody's been talking about it. They've been trying to spark the conversation. Godfrey is somebody that I like, somebody that I actually have respect for, but I think he flip-flops sometimes. But he's very knowledgeable in foundational Black American accomplishments and studies because he was born and raised here in Chicago, and he's been raised in the culture. So he studied, I believe he knows more about our culture than he actually knows about his own culture, right? But what gets mixed up in the conversation sometimes is the application of our culture and who really gets the benefit from our culture. So today I'm gonna go over some things and add, to add further to this in my next live stream. But I wanted to cover just one of the clips of this, and we get a chance to see how the difference between the Africans and the foundational Black Americans and how we see ourselves and how they see themselves. And they had this guy on there that was supposed to be a foundational Black American scholar, and I disagree with a lot of things that he was saying. No hate to the brother, no shade, but I just disagree. But let's get off into what I believe. Hold on a second. Let's share the screen, and let's get off into what I believe. What wasn't being said and what should have been being said. Now, we want to start off, Godfrey, he's making his jokes and everything. Y'all know Godfrey's a comedian. Godfrey's funny, right? Let's get to it.
Papa, I know Black. Yeah. I'm Dominican. I said, yeah, that's a place. But you're a Black person in the Dominican Republic. I know Black, Papa. I know Black. I say, you look like me.
We just got dropped off at different locations.
And we're both in handcuffs.
Yeah. Literally.
No, just kidding.
Now, Godfrey can make that comment because Godfrey been born and raised around Black Americans, and we do that because I know a lot of Africans that come here and say, I'm not you, I'm such and such, and they stand by their nationality and their tribal lineage. That's what they do. How many Africans I've had come around me? How many Africans I've had come around? How many Africans I had come around me and tell me I'm not African? Too many, far too many. Far too many Africans have come around me and told me that I wasn't African.
No, literally. When I say I know Black, but it's like, and then I have the joke I have is, let's say Black Americans were to get their reparations. Let's say they got every dime. Dominicans would be like, I'm Black. I was just kidding. I'm Black. I was a slave. Wade in the agua. Wade in the agua, listen. I'm Black. Chocolate, look. I was just kidding. It was a yoke. A yoke. It was a yoke.
So I guess let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question. What does it mean to be Black? What is Black? Because
what is it? What is it?
It's a great question because I think for me, I'm hoping that it will resolve this idea of you're not Black, you're Black, but you're not Black. Yeah. Like you don't get your Black card, right? Yeah. We've all hold the Black card, right? If you do anything that breaks out, you're not Black.
This definition of Blackness, we were all sharing stories earlier about how in our urban communities we were told we don't speak like the other Black guys, and we don't maybe do some of the other things like the other Black guys do. Humor and this anxious humor is what comes out of what we call horizontal hostility. It is less dangerous for me to confront the system that creates the dynamics that we're in. And so instead of aggressing towards the system that is creating this, I aggress horizontally amongst my peers and amongst those who look like me, because that's easier. And so as a result, we create this dynamic whereby this Blackness is the Blackness to be revered. And then you have this Blackness. I mean, you have these conversations going on right now between, these Black upper echelon groups like the Divine Nine fraternities, sororities. Yes. Is it okay for kids to be in Jack and Jill, those who can't get in Jack and Jill? Is it okay for you to do guards? All these things, all these conversations are happening because the world has not allowed us to have a malleable community. Remember, whiteness has been malleable for generations. When Irish people arrived on this land, they weren't considered
white at all. No.
When other European immigrants arrived on this land, none of them were white. And so the descendants of the colonists began to see the difference happening in the numbers of people, like we see right now. For the first time in American history, the 2020 census showed a decline in the number of individuals on the census who identify as white only. It threw white Americans into
it's a done deal.
Now,
it scared them because this idea of your identity no longer holding dominance is a deal breaker. And then we just got news that for the first time last year in 2025, I think, we had the first time where the numbers of babies born in America, the numbers of babies born who were identified as not white, was more than the number of babies born who were identified as white. So I'm saying all this to say that identity holds such a strong component of us. And when we talk about blackness, we have not been allowed to be as malleable as whiteness. So whiteness continued to grow until it's absorbed every cultural background that it could. The last group were individuals who identified as Persian. The Kardashians would not have been white 50 years ago. Today they are white. And so I'm saying,
which is insane. They're Armenian.
Well, I'm saying that's the malleability of the group. When they see that the numbers are decreasing,
they start adding people.
Except us. So there's no. So
they even take our light skin.
We
got light skin ones. They be like, whoa. Are the light skin ones to get considered white?
So this is like
the past. I want y'all to pay attention because this is when I'm gonna jump in and break this down. Watch this.
Look, so I was up in this thing to see. I hit CJ up. I was like, man, this stuff is crazy on here. So to take away my black card, I don't know how you can take it. I'm African. I grew up in. I don't know how you can take it away. They go, well, his wife is white. I was like, no, she's biracial. Well, she's light. I'm like, wait, so you get to pick which side she's on? I'm like, wait, do you get to pick which side Barack is on? Do you get to pick which side Matt Barnes is on? Do you get to pick which side Steph Curry is on? Wait, what? I was like, so based off of how we feel about you.
Yes.
Keep my wife name out your mouth.
How about that?
Now, hold on. Let me break that down. When you come over here to the miseducation of the Negro, it says the educated Negro leads the masses. Carter G. Woodson argues that the formal education alienates black elites, that formal education alienates black elites from the community, fostering a slave pathology where they despise their own people and mimic white oppressors. Educated blacks often abandon the black church, the only institution they truly control, to join white denominations or abandon religion, widening the gap between the talented tenth and the masses, right? So now what happens is when you bring it back to this understanding of defining blackness, we had already understood because we knew that a lot of those biracials, it depended on the biracial. It depended on if they was 10 toes down with you or they were not. Some that lived in the house helped our people escape. They did bad things to the master. We got that. So what defined our blackness was how you was 10 toes down, right? But 100 years ago, Carter G. Woodson and them broke this down too. They created the Y created this talented 10, but it ended up backfiring on them because those Negroes end up marrying W's or running over there to ingratiate themselves with W's, the sellout culture. So yeah, blackness should be defined. We're watching you with eyes wide open, right? We're watching your choices. Who you sleep with lets us know where your politics lie. That matters. And it mattered back then, even with A. Philip Randolph and why he was a restrictionist. All of that mattered. But let's proceed.
I was like, what?
For starters, how about that? I'm outside, son.
To your point, it's like now we're going based off of shade. Well, this light-skinned person's black and this light-skinned person.
It's been happening. Lenny Kravitz has not been, until the last 10 years, Lenny Kravitz had not been embraced by black media. Lenny Kravitz was not at the NAACP Awards 20 years ago. He was not at, and his mother is the blackest black character ever on TV. One of the most.
See, I don't like this. I about this. I want to know the background of this guy because it's disingenuous, right? when you have the Jeffersons and that black woman is on TV with that W at that time, knowing what we were going through, right? It was giving a depiction of the mammy, right? Now, the thing is, he can say that Lenny Kravitz wasn't accepted, but what's the daughter that was on the Cosby Show? She's a biracial. She was on the show. She was accepted. He was accepted. How about maybe he just didn't come around because he saw himself over there with them folks more than he saw himself over here with us, right? Like just to put, every time I hear these conversations, the indictment just falls on Black Americans all the time and our decision making, like everything is wrong with us and nothing's wrong with nobody else.
Roxy Roker.
Black characters ever on TV from the Jeffersons. And so for him to be snubbed by black business.
He's using the term as snubbed as if we told him to get the hell on.
Business media, it speaks to what we're talking about. He did not define what Black America wanted Black America to be. And as a result, he and individuals, like I said, Andre 3000, all those De La Soul, they were placed on this other side, even Diggable Planets, they were placed on this other side. They're not really Black, but and it's the rejection to.
First of all, the Diggable Planet parts is a lie. Diggable Planets was very well received coming out of Brooklyn. We loved them back in the day. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, in Black culture, you had a house with many different rooms. So you had R&B brothers, you had rock brothers, you had a whole different genres of things that we were doing because we created all of them. So how can you sit here and say that we created all the music and all the different styles, but then say that we didn't accept it? That's hypocritical. Like, what are you talking about? But this is what I'm saying when you got these people on here just running their mouth that don't know what. Let me calm down. Take the emotion out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's start over. Now, what I'm saying is, they like to come and say that we created all these different genres of music and a lot of different things, but then say that we alienated our people from the same things that we created. No, that's not true. You had house music back in the day. You had a whole bunch of people that was associated with house music. I created Urban Nerds because I wanted to recognize the intelligence in the Black community, right? Now, the Black community is just not one thing. You got Black people doing a whole bunch of different stuff. Now, what's the loudest in the room a lot of times? Which became the loudest in the room? A lot of that N-word culture, what it doesn't belong to us, is American culture. But that doesn't, just because that's the loudest in the room, don't mean that we're not doing a whole bunch of different other stuff that's not accepted. Let's listen to some more.
Because I was gonna say, because it feels like the rejection is to force conformity. If you are not this, then you are out. Is that accurate?
No, the rejection is to maintain separation.
Yeah, no doubt. But the sad part about it is,
and that's another part.
Being alternative is not a white thing.
Now, I want you to hear what Godfrey's about to do. Godfrey's about to set them straight and bring them back, because Godfrey knows that his bread and butter is foundational Black Americans. And he got to go out on the road and get on that stage. Watch what Godfrey say.
You're talking about. You got Parliament P-Funk, who Red Hot Chili Peppers stole everything because they inducted George Clinton into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They said, Keyless, the lead said,
music.
Oh, every genre of American music is Black. And so he goes, we Red Hot Chili Peppers, they're on stage naked. Parliament had been doing that in 1978. And even was it David Grohl from Foo Fighters? He goes, you know where I got my drumming from?
The Gap Band.
But all of them do that. They take all the from Black. Pink Floyd. Pink Floyd is the name of two Black blues singers, Pink and Floyd. So I mean, they're always
taking
music.
Black, of course it is. They called it Carter Family.
Now the guy in the middle was just saying a whole bunch of BS. Godfrey brought him back. Now he's agreeing with Godfrey. He don't know what stance he want to take. He flip-flopping all over the place. Now, we have because the Black community, the Black foundational Black American community doesn't just do one thing. How can we just do one thing when we done invented and created everything? We're all over the place doing a whole bunch of different things, right? So we're into a lot of different stuff. So do we make fun of certain things? Absolutely. But it's not, man, listen, man. Let's just listen to some.
The foundational country music,
which is
was being taken around the whole South with a black dude learning all this.
Learning all
so
this stuff,
this
right.
is all deliberate to maintain black music, white music. It's not
race.
a thing.
Remember race records?
Absolutely.
They had race records where black people couldn't even be on the cover of their own albums.
That's right.
You know, but
so everything you're describing is purposeful.
Yeah.
And I
So why is Godfrey saying this, but the expert they brought on there ain't bringing this up?
I hate to keep saying that and keep grounding it in this kind of colonial framework, but all these things are aimed at keeping the narrative and the argument over here to avoid having this conversation about what colonialism consistently today does to us. When I meet brothers in London or in Paris, we're all talking about the same thing. Black men in London and Paris are also dying of heart disease earlier. They're also being locked up more. My first book just narrates all of that across Canada, the UK, everywhere.
Same thing. So can I ask this then? Because this is kind of the question that I think that I asked to Godfrey that just blew everything.
That started all the drama.
Thing is like, how can we show Black African immigrants here in America, how can we show them appreciation? Because it seemed and felt like it was a sin to even ask. How dare you ask for appreciation? And
why do he keep saying that? See, this is the thing where the disingenuous part, and that why they need to have a foundational Black American on there. He said that his father came here in 1974. He should be saying thank you to us. But I'm about to just break this whole thing down because they about to go off.
Furthermore, there were those who said, what contributions have Black African immigrants made to this country? What? And I'm going, wait, what? Dumb. I said, first start off with Barack Obama, right? That's an easy one to.
Have you ever been to Johns Hopkins? And so I think that the reason why you receive so much vitriol is because your request for respect for the contributions of Black immigrants was juxtaposed to a conversation about Black Americans. And I think had it been an individual conversation solely about looking at the values and benefits that all immigrants bring to this land, including African immigrants, it would have been a very different conversation. But it came, and I watched it, it came off as though it was an either or. And I know that wasn't your intent, but the process shows that the trauma is then popped up and we don't even know what is happening.
So now, again, our trauma popped up and we don't even know what's happening. So we got this trauma and we're ignorant. We don't even know when it's going to happen. Now watch. I keep popping it, making this thing keep jumping out.
And so everybody on their Twitter fingers, or whatever it is, everybody on their, anonymous Twitter fingers, they're coming at you, not realizing that they're also responding to a trauma.
So we're coming at him not realizing we're responding. No, we're coming at him with intelligence. But I want them to
because they've been activated now.
And I think too,
I'm going to say when Shabuzi, who's Nigerian, won his award, he went on stage and said, "I just want to say the immigrants helped build the country," and I think he was answering to ICE. He wasn't answering to Black Americans. He was just saying that because of the things that were happening with ICE, everyone trying to deport immigrants. He was saying, and so they got on him and say, "No, Black America." I said, I don't think he meant Black Americans like that because he's participating in a Black American art form. He meant because of what was happening with ICE. He was like, immigrants help build.
It doesn't matter. He got up there and said immigrants built the country. Reword your wording. We're correcting you. To the point where even Bernice King had to correct them. But again, leave it up to them. We're stupid. We're emotional. We don't know what we're talking about.
Taken out of context.
Because Black Americans, I always know they built this damn country.
But let's be fair. We can say that. We can say that, and we can say that there are Black Americans who frown on African immigrants,
of course,
and minimize the contribution,
which is dumb because it's a combination. You look at hip hop and how many Jamaicans contribute to.
Absolutely.
How many rappers are Jamaican? Because there's a battle between but Jamaican Americans, Kool Herc, KRS-One, they're Jamaicans. Let's not get it twisted. There's a lot of contributions of Caribbeans. Shirley Chisholm. You got Chisholm, who's Caribbean. You got Esther Roll, who's Bahamian. You got Sidney Poitier, who won the first Oscar as a Black, but he was Caribbean. So
let's unpack that. So He talked about KRS-One and these rappers in hip hop. They came and established something on a platform that was already there for them to establish it on. There was already a template. We had already had James Brown. We had already had the funk. We had already knew what the Jamaicans said, what the Jamaicans themselves said about how they got their music and where they got their music from, right? When you get to Shirley Chisholm, before you had a Shirley Chisholm, you had an Ida B. Wells, you had a Mary Bethune-McLeod, you had a Fannie Lou Hamer. You had so many women that stood on the front lines and on the battlefield to provide a platform for her. So when Kabir asked for appreciation, the appreciation is we open up our arms, man, and we love doing y'all and allowed y'all to become one of us, even to the point where you can even become a leader, right? He they're gonna bring up Esther. They brought up actor Esther Roll, all of them. When you deal with Farrakhan and Marcus Garvey, we open up our arms and we loved on y'all because we was taught to open up our arms. So now when he talk about the appreciation, my problem is he's speaking on something that he doesn't have enough knowledge to speak on. And he should chill out. And they're not bringing the right people on there to give him the proper information he should. We don't have to sit here and acknowledge nothing because we acknowledge you. The mere fact that you have a Marcus Garvey, the mere fact that you have that you have a Farrakhan, the mere fact that you have a Shirley Chisholm is a direct reflection of our love and appreciation that we have for y'all already. So to make that statement is offensive when y'all come on here and y'all talking in the manner in which you're talking, because again, you're disrespecting foundational Black Americans, and sometimes you might not even realize it because you're not educated enough to understand just exactly who we are. Let's look at some more.
We're all in the same game. It's like everybody's contributing, but we do know who the foundation is, who built it.
No, they don't know who the foundation is and who built it. You use the word, they believe we're all in the same gang, and our culture is their culture. And without them, we don't have a culture.
But from there, we should stop arguing about this and know it.
But it's never been challenged. I guess what I'm saying, and like even when you and I were talking, and I think a lot of that came from me and agreeing with you. I was like, yeah, I get it. But we're not talking about the other side. But you went on your historical thing, right? And I'm going, yeah, I get it. Yep, I get it. But it was just like, wait, there's another side that has to be like, we have to understand because we don't talk about it, right? A lot of times, like the things that we're talking about, the stuff that we're talking about now, as God is my witness, I just went to a basketball game and I told CJ this and I said, South African lady, I'm not going to do the accent because you're going to get on me. I already know.
No, I want you to do it.
No, I'm not going to do it. She came to me and she said, no. And she said to me, she goes, I just want to say thank you.
No.
In tears, she said, I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Because
watch this. And I can't wait to get on the live stream with this. And I'm gonna tell all FBAs out there, Tariq, everybody, we need to push the line. We need to get them. We need to get them on the show. We need to get someone on the show. Because what he about to say right now, I tell y'all, take the emotion out. It did infuriate me. And I calmed down and we're not done with the emotion. But I'm gonna unpack this.
No, I'm not gonna do it.
Come on.
But she said, I want to thank you because what you're talking about is the things that we suffered in silence. Who are you going to go cry to and tell that, they're making fun of me and the way I'm being treated at work? Yeah. They disrespect me. They don't value me at work because I'm African, literally because I'm African. Right. And it's not from the white people that they're getting it from.
So
they're getting it from the people that they call their own. And remember.
So this is the part that's disingenuous. So we sit and watch them come here and abandon their culture, run over to W, folks, talk down on us. If you notice in this whole conversation, not one time did he mention anything wrong that his people do. All he did was talk about the wrongs that he received from us. He not one time tried to even see it from our perspective. I comprehend well. Now listen, right? So if she's getting that, she's almost crying. But what about the things that we say about that we've been complaining about you guys? Oh, that don't matter. That's inconsequential. And this is the stuff that they do and why we can't unify with these people, man. This is what they do. Now, are there some things that we said about you guys? Absolutely. Right? But there's a lot of things. You guys come and say that we don't have a culture. I have yet to see him call Africans out for their bad behavior towards Black Americans. Yet.
But this is not unique to us.
Yeah.
This is Cuban on Mexicans.
Yeah.
Like, this is not unique to us. This is a dynamic that exists to maintain the narrative of white superiority ideology. If we can keep all of the black and brown people fighting against one another, we maintain control.
That's it.
We maintain control. And so when we talk about, you know, the little black kids who are in this circle or that circle or from this place or that place, we're conditioned to have beef against each other, whether it's socioeconomic status, whether it's the way you speak, whether it's where you're from. I mean, people have neighborhood beefs. This is the goal to maintain separation and to maintain this, like I said, maintain this horizontal hostility. That's the goal.
So that's the goal for them, to maintain the separation of horizontal hostility. But I'm asking Godfrey, I'm asking Kabir, I'm asking Kabir mostly, when do you call out your people? When do you hold your people accountable? You are African. You've been in them circles. You know what they say about us. Not one time did I hear you say anything about what they say about us. I'll say this in closing. African leaders from Nigeria to Ghana have come here, all the way here to Philadelphia to go to school and be educated and go back. We had all kinds of African leaders come to America. We were in the street fighting with the fists up for Africa. Everything was turned towards Africa as a kid growing up, to the point where I knew more about African culture than I knew more about my own. So this is disingenuous, and you got to get the right people on there to have the right conversation. And if you say you love Black Americans and we say we love Africans, then we got to have the uncomfortable conversations. It may get nasty and ugly right at first, right? Because for me, as a foundational Black American, I don't disassociate myself from Africa. I just have my own. We are delineating. We have our own identity. We are our own people, right? We are our own people. You are an Igbo or Yoruba. I'm an FBA. That don't mean we hate each other. That don't mean that we can't work together and love each other. But we understand that there's boundaries between us and there's cultural differences between us. FBA is the lineage. Delineation is the movement, right? And you're speaking on things where you have no knowledge. When you say that you just want Africa to be acknowledged, well, the accomplishments of immigrants are acknowledged. Marcus Garvey has always been acknowledged here. Farrakhan has always been acknowledged. So for you to even make that statement just shows me how ignorant you're showing yourself to be. And guess who acknowledged them? The FBAs who accepted them and even allowed them to become leaders. So you can't get man, listen. If y'all made it this far in the video, hit that like button, subscribe to Street Media TV. Look forward to my live stream breaking this down further, because we have to keep pushing the narrative. All right. So remember, I love y'all. Till the next time. Peace.